video is sponsored by Thrive Market. The first thing you might notice about this video is that it's coming to you, well into 2025. Well, further into 2025 than you typically see these trend prediction videos pop into your subscriptions feed, and that's because 1, I've been a-wearied from the horrors, but 2, whenever I tried to think of what might be coming down the trend pipeline, my mind just kind of went blank. And not in the cute all vibes, no thoughts kind of way, but more in the what is even the point anymore, I have no mouth and I must scream kind of way. And could I dare to hope that the scourge of micro trends is close to fully burning itself out and nuking trends in general in the process? I think that people are tired of chasing the next shiny trend, and here I am to give you permission that yes, you are allowed to step off that hamster wheel, it's gonna be okay. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. I've only watched one trend prediction video for 2025, and it was Liz's from Beep World. Go subscribe, you probably already are. Why wouldn't you be? But then I was like, hold on, I don't want to sully my opinions, my thoughts, and haven't been consuming any other trend forecasting content. So then when I finally went to go research this lack of trend inspiration, it's something that people have been talking about. I looked into what are the media outlets saying, what are the Vogues and the Harper's Bazaars saying are the trends for 2025, and I was shocked to see no trend listed. What? Does this mean we get to stop talking about trends? Could it be? Okay, this is a whole video talking about trends, and I'm going to continue to talk about trends at length, but more in the, wow, this is interesting culturally way, and definitely not a, wear this, not that, or else you're not valid, and you're poo-poo, and also pee-pee, you idiot kind of way. So yes, I think the people are tired of chasing the trends. I also think if we want to get a little deeper, as long as quote-unquote modern society has been a thing, fashion and being stylish has been, I don't know how to say this, it's like a built-in hobby or thing to contend with for a lot of femme-presenting people. Like, even if you aren't innately interested in style or fashion, which is obviously totally okay, you're expected to care about it, especially at a young age, expected to keep up with these trends, to be accepted by your peers. So when the trend cycle has morphed into this micro trend cycle, fueled by short form content and fast fashion monstrosities, what has felt like a forced march for a lot of people has turned into a forced sprint, and people are tired of partaking, tired of just hearing about it. And if you're a person who has been partaking in style and trends because it's expected and not necessarily something that you just innately find interesting, I can see why you might want to release the reins and say, you know what, I'm just gonna wear jeans and a t-shirt. Or maybe, if you're that kind of person, you swing the other way and say, I'm gonna step off the hamster wheel and examine myself and learn about what I really like and start to develop a personal style. Whatever the case is, I'm excited about the idea of people starting to explore what they want to wear, especially if they might not have previously done so. Whether it's totally decentering clothing and style in their lives or exploring their identities through it. I'm all for it. But this is a trend predictions video. So how is this personal style focused or no trend gonna show up in concrete ways? Well, one way it might show up is with an increase of small or large personal details in clothing items and closets. Adding a handmade charm, embroidering little shapes, and accoutrement, adding custom colored cording. It could be anything. I think this is a really cool way to add personality to clothing that you already own in an understated or super over-the-top way. To continue the theme of the no trend and focusing on personal style, I think we're going to see lots of quirky tweaks and iterations on tried and true style pillars. Variations on a theme. For example, I think we're going to continue to see novelty graphics, whether that's phrases or simple iconography, licensed characters. Graphics are a style staple, but I think the graphic itself will move away from simply printing on a fabric and towards applique or patchwork, using 3D notions like buttons, rhinestones, or studs to build the imagery. Something with some 3D depth that may be unexpected or leaning more towards craft. And now a quick word from today's sponsor. Listen, I love making a healthy, sustainable food choice, but I also love snacks. That's right, I'm a filthy casual snack enjoyer. But luckily, with the sponsor of today's video, Thrive Market, you can have the best of both worlds. Thrive Market is a great option for those of us who want to make more healthful, sustainable food choices right from the comfort of our own home. And personally, I love that Thrive Market is committed to supporting the earth and people by seeking out brands that follow ethical practices, allowing you to shop with a little more peace of mind. Speaking of, I was able to find some swaps for my favorite snacks that are a little more difficult to find in my local grocery stores. I'm pescatarian, so I don't eat traditional jerky anymore, but man, do I miss those leathery, smoky bad boys of Well, luckily Thrive Market came in clutch with some plant-based alternatives. We've got mushroom jerky. What can't a mushroom do? And some soy jerky. Ooh. One thing I feel like plant-based jerky gets wrong is that it doesn't taste like the base ingredient anymore. It really just tries to taste like meat, but these still taste like mushrooms in a really good way. I've heard a lot of hubbub about poppy, so I wanted to try it, and this is empty. We already drank them all. It was delicious. So if you're interested in trying out Thrive Market for yourself, you can join today by clicking the link down in my description to get 30% off your first order and a gift valued up to $60. That's thrivemarket.com/kathleenillustrated. Thank you, Thrive Market. Another way we might see iteration on a classic theme, I think we're going to see a rise in the popularity of unusual hardware. We've seen rivets on the rise recently as a design feature instead of a functional piece of the clothing. To extrapolate, maybe we'll see more hardware from parts of life used in clothing. Deadbolts and locks being used instead of buttons. And I think this is also kind of a natural next step progression from the current carabiner obsession. Another way I think we're taking back our style autonomy is literally taking the means of production into our own hands. Folks are knitting, folks are sewing, folks are learning how to crochet and aren't really good at it yet, but are having a great time, even though they gave ourselves a repetitive stress injury and had to stop for a couple weeks. Who could that be? And this isn't new, obviously, but I'm so psyched to see handcrafted items getting more of the attention and appreciation that they deserve. This does mean that certain patterns become trends in and of themselves. I'm looking at you, Sophie's scarf, but like, dang, if we're getting more people to make their own clothing, to make creative decisions about how they want to look and invest in the arts and crafts, that's a trend I can totally get behind. I saw this in the comments from last week's video and I totally agree. I think there has been an increased appreciation and focus on quality over quantity too. The idea of knitting an heirloom sweater that you can wear for years and pass down in the future, or investing in quality vintage pieces that'll stay in your collection forever. It's been really great to see folks celebrating that slow building of a life story through clothing. Some of y'all also mentioned in the comments the idea that tariffs may play a big part in the coming years, especially in the US. So that could totally change and influence how we procure our pieces as well. And before we totally move off of variations on a theme, I think we may also see upcycled and DIY versions of current actual trends or aesthetics. For example, office wear, office siren, whatever you want to call it, but with mended elbows in your blazer or visible mending, swapped buttons. I actually just noticed a swapped button vest look in Dochi's recent performance and in K-pop styling as well. Like in the last week, I saw both of these. Remember how we did this over the summer with a thrifted vest? Interesting, very interesting. Maybe we'll see sportswear with raw hems or patches on jerseys or upcycled track pants. I'm all here for it. One of my goals is to have my closet completely Frankensteined, with every piece having a little tidbit of DIY or personal upcycling added. Oh, and here's a comment talking about the quality over quantity from last week's video, and I think they summed up this idea pretty darn well. They say, I've noticed a pretty hard left turn to quality over quantity. Many of my peers are becoming much more aware and selective of the actual quality of their purchases. Polyester is a pariah. Vegan leather, quote unquote, has been outed as the war criminal it has always been. Every young person wants to emulate a chic, carefree persona of the 80s New York rom-com. Totally agreed. Okay, you ready for another hard left turn? We have to talk about it. We have to talk about clowns. But not this kind of clown, this kind of clown. Clowniness has been a growing trend over the last couple years, but I think it's been pretty sequestered into, like, I don't know, non-mainstream style. It's often used in more quirky, artsy, and alt styling. However, I think the mainstream is going to latch onto it this year. And I don't think it's going to be the 80s, 90s Bozo the Clown vibe. I think it's going to be much more of a dramatic, romantic, court jester vibe. Colorful tights with flats, harlequin check, which is my favorite kind of check, puffed pantaloons, etc., etc. And honestly, this is how I feel inside. It is not a phase, Mom. This also aligns with the increased interest in medieval revival over the last year. We talked about this last week, so I think it's going to continue this year. This could just be more peasanty silhouettes, billowy sleeves, but also 60s, 70s color palettes and pieces that look like costume but are worn earnestly, which I also love. I think this also has something to do kind of with Nosferatu. But before we get to that, speaking of historical dressing, should we talk about the Bridgerton to Little Women to Poor Things to Nosferatu pipeline? How we went from powdery, silky toile to Victorian goth, but make it sexy. I love it. The costume design was the best part of Nosferatu, and I will say that with my whole chest. Why did they make Count Orlok look like Dr. Disrespect? And why is that also the perfect choice. Anyways, I think we're going to continue to see tons of buttons, lace-up details, traditional fabrics like satin or thick structured canvas added to mainstream silhouettes. I think also with a darker palette as well. Next, please brace yourself for impact. We're going to talk about dressing like animals. Okay, this is my own personal prediction. Call it the ravings of a madwoman, but I feel it in my bones. Just stay with me and reserve judgment, okay? We all know how popular tabbies have gotten in the last decade, starting with the Margiela boots, with the current tabby style du jour being the flat. So we know that tabbies are not based on animal feet. It's a traditional sock/shoe silhouette from Japan, but a lot of people consider them to look hoof-like. And we also have the animal toe silhouette from Vivienne Westwood, the amphibian feet boots. I think we're going to see a whole new iteration on animal-like styling, whether it's another shoe silhouette, maybe something super hoofy, or ears or tails or something. I have a feeling, and I think it will be pretty avant-garde or editorial. I don't foresee this being sold at Macy's, but let's just sit back and quietly watch and listen. Is this part of my master plan for everyone to slowly reveal their fursonas? Yeah, and you know what? Maybe I just need to start that revolution myself. I'm gonna start styling my longer lashes boots from a regular choice, and people can decide if they want to be a little deer princess with me or not. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. Let's change topics. What's the next it color? It's yellow. Moving on. No, just kidding. More specifically, I think maybe we'll see a lot of yellow, but I think we're gonna see dusty versions of the colors that we are seeing a lot of right now. Right now, we're seeing a lot of really saturated primary jewel tones, and I think we're gonna stick with that vibrant palette, but add a little dust to it, a little gray. Dusty poppy, dusty blue, dusty purple. You know colors. I also think off-putting / garish color combos are going to be hot in the next couple months. So a lot of these predictions and trends feel like we're starting to play with style as costume or pure expression and experimentation. Really artistic and craft-based. And this aligns with one of the audience submissions from last week. I saw a lot of comments about the idea of man repeller looks. Outfits and makeups that are not based on the idea of being attractive to a certain specific subset of humans and are in fact actively trying to repel the type of person that may or may not try to derive your worth based on how well you fit into a specific set of parameters that you did not agree to. I love it. Not only for the man repellent of it all, but just because I feel like this is a type of unfettered styling that is like a fast pass to learning the most about yourself in the shortest period of time. Go crazy, break the style rules, and then you can see how you feel about it, what you like, what you don't. I'm getting amped up just thinking about it. Sorry for yelling. Moving on, I think neckwear is going to get skinnier than it already is. I know that skinny scarves have been trending, but how is that going to evolve as the weather warms up, at least in the northern hemisphere? I'll tell you, long, skinny lariat necklaces and long beaded or silky cords, tassels, like this 20s flapper cord I got going on here. I've been loving wearing this recently. I feel like it's the perfect outfit maker. These types of necklaces, the lariat necklaces and the cords, they keep the current trending silhouette of the choker, but they add a little bit more, a little extra graphic element of the long strings on either side. I love it. I think it's awesome. Some other audience submissions were similar to the man repeller makeup, but anti-surveillance makeup, anti-facial recognition, clothing that will align more with a revolution or protest gear. I remember seeing this a lot actually in last year's audience submissions as well, so it's interesting and depressing that this is still something that is very much on our minds every day. Similarly, a lot of people seem to think that punk/goth/grunge was going to come back in a major way. I don't think it's necessarily gone anywhere, but maybe much more mainstream as a direct response to everything. Need I say more? So, in closing, last year my 2024 trends video was cheekily subtitled 2025 trends, because trends don't just happen. We know this. The it brands of today have already designed 12 months out, or they're at least mood boarding for it. So if we can keep a keen eye on what's happening right now at different levels of society, we can also guess what we'll be releasing in clothing lines next year in 2026, right now. And for a lot of the stuff I predicted last year for 2025 was right. Some of the trends from that year-old video are just now coming to fruition, like the Pinterest 2025 trend that just was released of sea witchery, which I called nasty nautical in last year's video. Rosettes, They're huge, especially for Valentine's Day this year. All this to say, all of this is made up and the points don't matter. And looking around yourself today, what do you think you're going to be seeing in 2026? Or will our vision be similarly clouded as it was this year? Because maybe trends just won't really be a thing anymore. Let me know what you think of the predictions that I touched on for this video and drop your own thoughts down below. I'd love it to be a nice conversation going on down there. If you like this video, I'd very much appreciate it if you could give it a like, a thumbs up so other like-minded folks around YouTube can come and join us. And also, if you like this video, you might like my other videos, so feel free to subscribe as well if you'd like. Two more things. One, we're going to be restocking our Thrift Gremlin t-shirts soon. We have a new colorway, exciting, so keep an eye on my community posts or come on over to Instagram at KathleenIllustrated. I post a lot about it over there. And thank you so much to Thrive Market for sponsoring this video. Okay, I'll be back soon, but until then, stay stinky. I love ya. Bye.